Morning, Tom.
Hello, Karen. Here we are. Right.
Yeah.
Welcome to No Limits Munch and Learn. And this morning we have Stuart Lee with us from Stuart Lee Design. And Stuart is a creative design agency, a graphic designer by background. And we're going to have a chat about creating brands for SMEs. Let's just wait for Louise to come in. Oh, Louise is going to listen. So,
Good
right,
morning.
okay. Hi, Louise. So yeah, we're going to have a chat about creating brands for SMEs. So the reason I've invited Stuart to come and take part in this is part of what Stuart does is he helps startup businesses, create their brand right at the start of their journey. So, where do we start with that, Stuart? Where do you start?
Most people come to me with no identity, so they've got no starting point apart from a company name, which I try not to help them out with. At least they can start that bit themselves. So then I talk to them about like what they like, what the competition's doing, if they've got an ethos, a culture, or they're just a smallish company who just wants something, an identity to start with. So we talk around everything about the company, where their business is going, what clientele they're looking for, target market, all that kind of stuff. So things, I was thinking of building companies in particular. I've done 2 or 3 of those lately, and it's a bit more rigid looking, things like that, but completely different to say a florist or an IFA. There's a starting point of questions. It's a meeting about you, people, company, where you're going basically, and colors, fonts, everything around that, image, themes, feeling, everything really. So I try and drag out as much as information as I can to make sure the identity will go in the right direction.
It's interesting, isn't it? When people are starting a business, people start a business for many different reasons, and and understanding what those reasons are. Some people are kind of forced into it along the lines of, well, I've been made redundant, stuff this, I'm going to have a go myself. Or other people will take the route of, where I've been working, this is terrible, they're making such a mess of it, I'm sure I can do better.
A lot of people, a lot of people come to me having worked for someone else, and then they want the profit for themselves because they're good at their job, and then they want to carry on the business for themselves. Generally, that usually is it.
Yeah, and I think, and to some degree, starting to tease out a vision of, where they want to be in 5 or 10 years' time, and what they want the business to look like and feel like, and appear like to other people. Is that at the heart of trying to create the initial imagery?
Yeah, I mean, with businesses like that, they generally want to have more confidence to sell their some. I mean, a lot of what I do is producing stuff, so when they talk to their clients, they appear almost better than they are, which is not an imposter syndrome thing, but it's like some people lack a bit of self-confidence, but when you've got some branding to back you up, you appear more professional than you might thought. You might have a bit of imposter syndrome and think, oh, I've got to do this, but I'm not as good as but the branding backs you up, and then you think, actually, I come across quite well. So initially, people are going to take me quite well. So it's a bit of confidence thing, as well as the brand gives the person confidence talking to clients, basically. It's all about the communication routes.
Isn't that interesting? Yeah, isn't that interesting that, that getting a brand that you feel confident in can give you the confidence to project yourself better?
It really does work. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, how much value is there in that? That's really quite interesting to me.
Yeah, because I mean, some of that could be a stumbling block, a feeling of I'm not very confident, but with that brand, suddenly you exude a bit more confident, and you just come across better, and your clients will feel that and feel the confidence in you, and then be confident in you. So yeah, it works really well.
Interesting. So when when you're thinking, or you're having those conversations with business owners about constructing the brand, I suppose there's those elements of, is it, how physical is the business? When you talk about building companies versus, how touchy-feely is it? If it's a softer type business, something less structural. Where does that take the conversation with the
Well, I mean, I've done one recently for a HR company, and theirs was very people orientated, and so it was all around. And we went through the thing of putting something iconography about people in there, but with kind of left bits of it in, but more about the flow and the shapes of the logo. That worked well. It had to appear fun because she was quite a fun person, and she wanted it to reflect her. And so because companies would be dealing with her directly, so she wanted to come across as a fun and easy person to deal with. And so that logo went in a completely different direction to, say, a construction company, but a very touchy-feely social person. The logo was utterly different from most logos I've done, actually, because I got her and made sure her logo exemplified what she is and what her company's about.
Yeah, yeah. Interesting. And I suppose I'm thinking back to branding in my background in the 1990s, where we were in the coal industry, and we all wanted to appear green. So there used to be a lot of logos with green trees and a black seam of coal kind of influence underneath it, as we were trying to green ourselves up. The power of logos. Yeah.
Look at BP. I mean,
It just makes the conversation just.
The BP is all green, looking like flour. You wouldn't to look at that.
Sorry, Stuart.
Oh, sorry. I mean, look at BP. I mean, it's quite green. It's like a flower. You'd never initially think that that's an oil company.
In line there.
Oh.
I think it might be me, actually. My connection's unstable, so maybe you came across clear to Karen, but I wasn't getting it.
I heard it.
Oh, okay.
Cool. Thanks, Louise. So when you're starting that journey with the client, what are the questions you're asking the client then?
Well, like, when did you start? Is it you? What do you like? Then it's talking about the customer journey. Who are your customers? Age range, demographic, general stuff. Do they, are they CEOs play golf a lot? Who are your clientele? And then it's like, right, okay, what other things do they see? What do they buy? It's quite organic, the process. The question, I mean, I've got everything from, have you seen anything you like? As I said before, have you seen anything like? What's your competition like? You want to be different from your competition in some way, or you might actually want to be very similar to your competition to get up. They've got a reputation, you've got no reputation. So looking like them might get you somewhere. It just depends really where the client wants to go with it as well. Because I tailor it to the client. The client's going to sign it off. But I will say, look, that's awful. Some people have ideas that are just not going to work for their business, but in their head, they might think that's a great thing. I really want to do that. But sometimes it's about turning clients around so their identity will work for them, not just something their wife or their cousin likes or something like
that. Yeah. Okay, that's interesting. The concept of piggybacking off somebody else's established brand.
Some people want to look similar, like, no one was going to look like Coca-Cola, but some people want to look similar to something else. So that also gives them credibility, because people will recognize that brand and think they are of it or similar to it. And so they will get work off the back of that. There is lots of ways of looking at branding.
Yeah, and I suppose we've got two extremes, haven't we? We've got the brand that you're trying to create that does exactly what it says on the tin. So it might be a building company, and the brand looks like a building, or the imagery looks like a building in some form. And then at the other end of the extreme, we've got something that might be seeking to be completely inspirational but conveying the message around the area that your business is based in, and anything in between, I suspect.
Yeah, I mean, the use of color, typography, iconography, white space, negative space, all these kind of terminologies. It's just making someone think. I mean, one of the best ones was FedEx. The logo that actually, if you put the letters together, looks like an arrow going forward, which is delivery. So it's just, that was definitely one of the most iconic logos of our time, I think.
Yeah, I can picture that one. Yeah. Okay. So when we've got the brand built, clients happy with their imagery, then what's next? What happens?
I mean, for small clients like building companies, that the logo would be it, and then I would put together some marketing materials to support the logo. Usually like an email banner, maybe a word template, letterhead, flyer, maybe some site signage, van signage, business cards, or loads of things, just so when they meet anyone, they've got something with their brand on, says what it does, so they can either leave things with people, they can email. But every contact point with a client is branded, so they know they're talking to that person and they got an idea and feel of that company. That's the next step for them. But for larger companies, it might be a brand book where they want a full brand guidelines, up to sort of like I did one recently for a business change client that would go into companies and say they were having a big upheaval. It was to keep the people on board. So, it's very hard to keep staff these days. So it was to keep everyone on board. So they lost minimal people. Say it was a big move to a different office, integrated IT system they were going to put in to make sure people either had the training or were informed about why the move was happening, so everyone was on board instead of left. And that was a really good brand guidelines. It was basically brand guidelines and brand book is basically how the font usage, the colors, everything everyone will need to do anything in the future for any information for that company. So like letterhead, I mean, you could go into like 50 different areas of marketing materials depending on the company. But this company wanted like work apparel, how it would look on folders and publications they'll produce to give to their training clients, presentations, all that kind of stuff. So you create those templates and everything. So that would be in the brand book, like starting from logo to font usage, colors, all areas. And then you show how it's used in the areas it needs. Like that one was smaller because it was only 3 or 4 areas. But say you're doing like an construction office center, loads of offices, you're going to need that would be more signage, and like from road to the place and signage around the building. So it all depends what the company is on the brand book. For larger companies, they would want a brand book to give to anyone producing anything for them, or if they're going to do anything in the house, it's so their staff can follow the brand book, and so everything they do is on brand and not like a collection of different ideas that are out there, so people don't understand who they're about.
I mean, you touch on work apparel there, and I'm just thinking through my client list at the moment. Probably somewhere between a third and half of our clients are completely branded up on everything, on their shirts, their jackets. It's kind of interesting. That's become a real trend.
Oh yeah, it is. Anything to do with trade or trades or anything like that, they're really quite good on the branding. Their van have it, work apparel, they're quite good. Smaller companies like that, usually a couple of years in, we'll make sure everything's branded. Generally.
Yeah. I recall working down in Australia in the coal industry, and you didn't get onto a mine unless you had a high-vis shirt with your company logo on and your name on it, and you didn't gain access without that. That was always quite interesting. It gave me a fright one day when I was dropping a hire car off back at the airport, filled it up with petrol, went in to pay for the petrol, and the attendant said, "Morning, Tom, how you doing?" So how does he know me? It's got my name on my shirt, Anyway, there we go. So, okay, when we've built the brand, we've got the media, then what's the next step in terms of exposure, would you say, as to how we push that out?
It depends on the clients. I mean, if they want to try advertising, they generally want a website, which I don't do, which I pass on to someone else who can do that. Yeah, I mean, normally for smaller clients, that's enough. But after that, like larger clients, I'm working on a brochure for an IFA at the moment, which is a nice corporate concept brochure. Usually people want something to leave with a client. Now, leaflet's all right, but if you're a bit bigger than that and you really want people to get a feel of your company, a brochure is good. As what someone said to me, if you mean it, print it. An online brochure is fine, which most of my brochures are always online, but usually there's a printed aspect. They'll print a small run, the brochure will be online, and then someone will leave or something will change, and then I'll get, oh, please, can you amend the brochure? Another small run, brochure changes online. A brochure is great because you can print it and have it online, so it's in two formats that work for whichever client you're dealing with. IFAs especially, I think they deal a lot with electronic, but also they want their higher net worth clients to have something to hand. It's a coffee table because it will look nice.
What proportion of clients do you think are still using print media?
It's lower. It's about, I don't know. For brochure work, it's probably about 50% max. A lot of it. I've got a Spanish client that works the golf resort in Spain, and everything is online. Even though some of the property brochures are maybe 800 to 1.4 million euro, their brochures are all online. They never print anything anymore. They used to, but they don't anymore.
Yeah, it's interesting that it's still that much, though. To me, there's a perception that everything is online, but certainly in our business, we still use quite a lot of printed media.
Yeah, smaller companies generally print more because they're actually meeting the client more generally, but
more face to face. So I suppose fundamentally, if you're meeting your client face to face, then printed media is a good thing.
Definitely. I mean, I've recently finished one for a physiotherapist who's got a sort of studio here, Whichwood, and a few other places, and brochures of all the people that were in there. But it's already out of date because 2 people left and they've got 2 new people. But luckily, it was quite a small run. So again, we're going to reprint going down the line. So that's what people are doing lately, because the photography might change. You might have better photography, and so you want the brochure to improve. So then I'll slot that photography in. There might be a couple left, throw those away, and then you print another 100 or 250 and then distribute those to clients. So you might do a print instead of printing like thousands like years ago, what everyone did. Now people print like a couple of hundred, and then that lasts like 6 months to a year, and then they'll look at it again and think, oh, do we need to change anything? Have we got any better photography? Does our message need to change? Have we changed the way our business works? And then you might want to change the copy, and then just reprint again and just go on like that, really.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay. So come back to the starting principles then. If a business is starting out now without a brand, what are the key questions they need to be asking themselves in terms of, do I need to put myself a clean brand together? What are the questions to ask?
It also depends on budget. If you're really starting out and you've got no money, no budget, you can probably put one together in Canva or something. That will do you for a bit, until you start to grow, and then you might need something a bit more, because they're quite standard. And I mean, they're not thought about. They're just off the shelves type thing. So you might need something. I mean, some of my clients have come to me with like something they've done in PowerPoint but then they want to move on. They want something more serious. And the kind of questions they want to ask themselves are, who are you trying to reach? And how are you going to reach them to start with? How do you think you're going to reach them? And they might take advice, or I might say, well, have you ever tried this? Or, because I've been doing this quite a while. I did count the years the other day, and I'm not going to go into the years. Too many.
Okay, so pure startup, no money, DIY, Canva, that type of thing, and prove you can go and win some business and get your business going. And then once you're established, if you're thinking about, okay, how do I go to the next stage, then it's about, right, okay, how do we create something that is actually really appropriate to us, that looks professional, that looks like it's been designed professionally, or by a professional, and we've had to think about what we want that to mean, and how's that going to attract our customers, and what customer is it trying to attract? So what does it need to look by? Is that it? Look like, rather, is that it?
It's not quite that simple. It's a bit more in depth than that. I mean, I'll set up a meeting with them, and before the meeting, they would have thought about all these things. And I will ask them as questions like, where do you want to go? Like I said before, where do you want to go? What customers do you want to reach? What do you like? What don't you like? And I'll say, like, put some logos together you like. And it's irrelevant if it's your company or your industry, but what do you like? And if I come up with like 10 logos of each, don't like this type, don't like that type, gives me an idea of what colors, iconography, kind of things they do like. Do they like more illustrative, or is it more like kind of modern, blocky? It just depends where they're going and what they like, because at the end of the day, they're the client. So it has to be more of a collaborative approach of, we're working together to get you a logo that will sell your company. So yeah, it's just all questions about, I mean, I can deal with all the typography and everything like that. It just gives me an inkling of what they're after. And, I know people who do Pinterest boards, like, dislike, that's a starting point. That's like phase 1 for visuals. And then phase 2 is honing, and phase 3 is final delivery. But the first stage is quite exploratory. And so you will get a number of things based on the communication we've had to iron out that direction, this direction, this direction. Where do you want to go with this? If that makes sense.
Yep. Cool. Okay. And I think, one of the things I took away from the early part of the conversation here is that getting something that you're really happy with, good branding that you're really confident, really happy with, will give you confidence in going out and projecting your business and selling your business. And I selling your services. And I hadn't really connected that before this conversation.
Yeah.
And that's been cool.
I've known quite a few people, my clients, and they're just like, when they love it, that's why it has to be a collaborative approach. When they love it, they're excited about business, because there's one aspect they've got down. Oh, I've got the branding done. That's great. Because when you start a business, just, as you would know, there's loads of hurdles. Have you got a proper accountant? Have you got this? Have you got that? Have the branding done? Oh, brilliant. And I love it. It's not like, oh, it's done. It's done, and I love it, and I can't wait to show it to people. That's what's great. And that's a great feeling when that happens. It usually happens, but I mean, it's great when someone like the HR company, she absolutely loved it, and it was great. It's a great feeling.
And that's nice then, because all that positive energy that comes off that will
Absolutely.
project as you're going out trying to generate sales.
Yeah, no, it's that's what I get out of it. That's a really good thing. They've definitely got someone, definitely got their business. They're really happy. Yeah. And and then they go, and then they're good clients, and that's how business works.
Yeah. Happy client. Yeah.
Happy
Come back
client.
and work.
Come back and say hello. I'm growing a bit more. I'd like a brochure. I'd like this, or I'm doing an exhibition. I'd like some graphics for the exhibition, or something like that. Yeah. People grow and always want market materials just to support their growth.
Yeah. Cool. Is there anything you think we've missed in the conversation this morning that would be useful for SME owners to know around building their brand?
Don't try and chuck everything in and the kitchen sink. Just really narrow down what you're about. Just think, right, can we make this as simple as possible so people get it? And there's not lots of things floating around. The brand has got to be as simple and as easy for people to get and understand. And it could be a word, it could be an icon, it could be part of their name, it could be anything, but just something so they get either what you do, what you're about.
I mean, I love that, and the number of times that comes up, and I always think, well, just give it a kiss. And that is great advice in anything in business. Keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah.
And the simpler it is, the easier it conveys.
Yeah.
And yeah, so give it a kiss. Keep it simple, stupid. It's great advice on most things in business.
Yeah, because nobody
I am
it's complicated. People are just looking through your stuff or get something. They're not going to start trying to identify what you're about. They're going to look at it and think, oh, I get it, or I don't.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So I think, you know, if I'm starting to summarize the discussion here, then the thing I've taken away from it, number one, really good brand can give you confidence in, you know, moving you forward, projecting your image, generating your sales. Number one. Number two, you know, if you've got no money and you're starting out, then, you know, do it yourself initially, and then when you've got some traction, maybe go to a professional and pick up and upgrade your image. You know, number three, keep it simple. Try and reflect something about you and your marketplace, your customers, but try and keep it simple in terms of where you want to be. Those would be my key takeaways. You know, get it feeling about you, something you're really happy with.
Yeah, the whole
Does
thing
that sound a reason?
you being happy with it. If you're not happy with it, it's not going to give you the confidence. You might get a bit of confidence. Yeah. Some people don't actually get it for a week or two. I know clients that have like taken 2 weeks and gone, initially I wasn't sure, but now I love it. And so it's sort of like, sometimes it takes a bit of time as well. But if they don't love it, they're not going to be confident in their business as much as if they did love it. So it's better if they love their identity and are involved. Because if you're one of those people that goes, oh, I've done this for you, here it is, and it's like, oh, that's not really what I was looking for, and then that's it, that's not a very good job. That's crap, to be honest. That's not, if they're not confident, if they don't even like it, there's no point. You just write that off, forget it, start again, and then just, yeah, you don't, no. They have to like, yeah.
Cool. Okay, well let's start to wrap it up there. I'm kind of hoping that we you know, we haven't been too boring, particularly when Patricia looks like she's sat on the edge of a helicopter. I'd hate for her to fall out of that door there.
Yeah, don't fall asleep.
Got to sleep. So so hopefully we've given you a few thoughts there around you know, creating a brand for your business. And if you have any further questions, Stuart's in the No Limits community, so, you know, do a search for him. And you know, he's one of the nicest guys on the planet. Lovely client to have, and one of the nicest guys on the planet. So feel free to reach out.
Yeah,
are there any quick questions before we sign off?
Thank you, Stuart. I never have a quick question, so I won't bore it now. But no, thank you very much. That was some really good stuff in there. And also the Tom and I were discussing about keeping things simple last week, so you followed on that vein, because I think sometimes we try to, like you said, chuck everything in and the kitchen sink, but it doesn't help your ideal client or your ideal guest. It actually gives them, is it like decision fatigue? So I've always kind of thought, I'll give them as much as possible, but actually it overwhelms and it can detract. So thank you for reiterating that.
Oh, no worries. Thank you, Louise.
Perfect. Okay, let's wrap it up there. Thanks again for joining us, Stuart. It's really, really helpful. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks for inviting me.
Have a great day, guys. See you later.
Thanks, everyone.